right, welcome back to another episode of Breaking and Adventuring, where we invite you into the world of the Adams County Sheriff's Office and beyond. We're going to share the backgrounds, stories, and experiences of the men and women in the Sheriff's Office and the greater law enforcement and public safety community. So I'm your host, Sergeant Adam Sherman, and today I have with me Sergeant Smolinski and Senior Deputy McLawyer to discuss life of a canine handler, traits needed to be a handler, skills trained between a handler and a canine dog, and stories about their experiences and how they got to where they are. So you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So background, who are you? So it's just a little bit of how you got to where you are.
So Sergeant Andrew Smolinski, I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 17 years. I was a handler for 6. And when I promoted back in September, I took over the unit as the sergeant for the K9 unit.
Cool.
Let's see. It's been 9.5 years now that I've been on patrol. And then the last 4, almost 5.
So what led you to the world of canine, or had your interest in being a canine handler?
So I didn't have that typical, you get a lot of guys who are like, oh, I was all interested in canine. I mean, I was interested in the unit, but I always had dogs at home. I had 3 big dogs. We had a Doberman, a Pitty, and a Boxer. And the smallest one was 65 pounds. So every time an opening for canine came up, I was like, I'm going to wait. We don't need another dog running around. And so then finally, when I did decide to test, former sergeant of the unit, he kind of comes to me, and I went to the academy with him, and he says, listen, man, either the dog's either with you at work or he's at home in the kennel. I was like, all right, sounds good. And so I went and tested and made the list, and here we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When I first started in the academy, when they came out to do like the demo day, it kind of terrified me. And I was scared of these land sharks, like, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
But as I continued going on and being proactive with the policing I was doing, I was like, it'd be a lot cooler if I had a dog to run after these people instead of me. So
that's just my own personal observation of how you like to do your job and your proactiveness. Having a little land shark, land alligator with you is definitely more helpful.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because for those of you watching and listening, Deputy McLawyer here likes to find cool stuff and often does so. So
that's why Sherman's losing a little bit of hair.
Yeah.
As you can see, is
I cause
or I'm just like, I have to write another memo. No. And we've all crossed paths a few different times, so it's been fun. I mean, looking back, especially that shift we were all on was really tight group. Is it like what you thought it would be, being a part of the canine unit or canine team, or is there anything that it would be surprising for somebody to know about just kind of the life of working a dog?
I think for me, I didn't realize how much goes into it outside of work. Canine's the one unit where it doesn't stop just because your day's over or because you're on your weekend, right? Dogs come home with us. They live with us. They're with us 24/7. So it was always expressed to me, and what I express to our handlers now is you get out of your dog what you put into it. So when you're at home on your weekend, if you just let your dog hang out and do nothing, you're going to have a pretty crappy dog at work, right? So the work that goes into it, the amount of time you spend with them outside of work was a little bit surprising to me, but totally worth it.
Yeah.
Good times. You have this little fur-miskel rascal running around at your house and get to play with them there. And
probably just reinstill some of the traits you need when it gets time to go on duty, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. The obedience and all that, just having them at home, you can work on the obedience and help that bring that along. So when it is time to beat at work, they're actually going to listen to you. So
gotcha. And then, for you, so at first you went from being afraid to then getting some courage, putting in for the team.
Yeah.
So is there anything that was surprising either once you got on the team or things that were unexpected?
It is completely different than what I thought it was going to be.
So it's not just like running around at a demo in the suit, like, bah, look at me.
Yeah, no. And then like the handlers I did have, as role models, I guess, when I was just the regular street cop, I guess. But it was very eye-opening to see, like, even just your tactics. When you have to deploy your dog, it changes. So going through the academy and like learning all these different techniques that you have to do when you're with your dog versus like not, it's just very eye-opening, and it's a whole different learning experience and learning curve. But yeah, I'd have to agree with him. Just having this extra fur missile at home, it's a lot more work than what people actually really think it is. But it is so much fun, and I want to change it for the world.
Nice. Well, and just again, from just my observation too, it seems like when they're at home, I mean, for people that don't know, like they're not always like RoboCop dog 24/7. Like at home, they kind of go into that home mode and they're a playful puppy. There's, like a typical standard dog.
Yeah, they can be. Each dog's different.
Yeah.
We have this little floppy-eared basset hound at home. And it's pretty funny to watch these two roll around and play around. Right? You got this 70-pound Malinois, supposed to be this big bad police dog, and he's in there rolling around playing with his basset hound. So it's kind of cool to see that side of it too.
Yeah,
that they are still just dogs at some point.
Well, and I know too, and I was very dependent on whatever handler on patrol, because whether as a patrol deputy or even a sergeant, I relied on the handler to know the area better than me, set up perimeters. And so if we had something big that we knew, and I know Smo would jump on like, hey, I need cars here. Where me as a sergeant, I'm like, cool, like that's already done. Check.
Yeah, we kind of become the experts at all that.
Yeah.
It's one of the few, it is another one of the few units where most sergeants just defer to the handler as, hey, you guys are the experts. You guys know, let me know what you need.
Yeah.
The fun part is we're one of the few ones that we can tell a sergeant or commander no, right? Obviously we got to do it respectfully, but any liability with deploying the dog ultimately falls on us as the handlers. So we have that ability to be like, no, I'm actually not going to send my dog, even if you want me to. So it's interesting in that aspect. You don't get that too often.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just kind of have, it broadens your view of maybe each incident you're rolling into, as opposed to maybe if you're just running a district, you're like, I'm just going to get there and figure out what I need when I get there. You guys are like just computing the whole way.
Right. We got to figure out what the crime is. Can we even deploy a dog, just based on what we hear? If we can, okay, we have a perimeter. What's the time lapse been? How much distance has somebody covered? How big of a perimeter do we need to start to set up? We're trying to figure all that out while we're going to the call as well.
Yeah.
And then 90% of the times we're the ones end up calling the perimeter, so as we're driving to a call, we're calling out where we want people to go. So just having that knowledge of your areas where you're working, having that geography knowledge to be able to do that without having to stop and look at maps, makes you a little bit more of that next level cop too, just that next level street cop as well.
Yeah. Well, and I guess jumping on that, like what skills would you say someone would need if they wanted to become a canine handler? Like, are there any innate traits just in a deputy or a person?
I mean,
or do you guys just train all that? Like,
I mean, some of it does come with the training, and it's just going to take practice, a lot of practice with some of it. But I've always been a big advocate for geography, and because that's huge, even without the canine. Like, if you know your districts in and out, it's going to make your life so much easier. It's going to take that extra stress away for when you do get on scene and you have to think of all these other variables of like you said, we have to be kind of very picky on what we choose to deploy on. And sometimes information can get jumbled, especially if you're going to other agencies. So as soon as we can get there and we know we have that good perimeter set, it just takes a huge portion of that off our shoulders so we can focus on what's right in front of us. For me,
I think one that you develop, but it helps, is just having an understanding of tactics. And I stole this from another handler who's a sergeant within our agency. We go and work with a bunch of different agencies, not just our agency. So we have to adapt kind of what we do and how we do things to how other agencies may operate within their tactics. So just kind of having a general understanding of different tactics and how they work, that goes a long way, because it's easier for the handler and the canine to kind of adapt with an outside team than it is to try and get an outside team to adapt with how we do. So having that general understanding of different tactics goes a long way. Being able to stay calm under pressure, obviously that's a big one in the cop world in general, but canine generally, we get into more into more of it than other people, right? So
Yeah.
being able to be level-headed, make calm decisions, recognize how situations may change, because you could be out there deploying your dog and the situation to change where, oh, I can't deploy him anymore, or suspect gives up as the dog's going out, right? Canine's one of the only tools that we can actually recall and bring back to us before they engage if need be. So being able to recognize those situations under stress is a big one too.
Nice. Yeah. And even things that you guys are factoring in, if you're sending a dog in to clear a house, you're constantly pumping. Are there any other pets in here? Any other, people, just the whole litany of things that again adds to the stuff you guys are constantly just computing as you're rolling in. So
yeah.
nice.
And a lot of that does come with the training, so we train in-house. Our handlers go through 10 weeks, about 400 hours worth of training when they initially get their dog. So that's their initial training. And then each month we have to do a minimum of 16 hours of training per team at a minimum. So we're constantly training, and those are the things we're training in each week and working on.
And when you're doing that training, is it just our unit, or do you guys train with other neighboring teams?
Oh, we got a good network of neighboring teams. Being a 6-year handler and then becoming trainer and sergeant. I mean, a 6-year handler is really just a drop in the bucket in the canine world, right? So I've been fortunate because we do have a really good network in this northern metro area, even going down to Colorado Springs, where I've reached out to other trainers at other agencies. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And relied upon them about information and help with training and things like that. So yeah, we have a really good network with other agencies, and we'll go train with them quite frequently.
Yeah, because you don't want to be reinventing the wheel every time you're coming up with training scenarios. You want to use what's current best practices and everybody be on the same page as much as possible, I'm sure. So that's huge. Well, you kind of already covered my next question. What skills do you look for in a dog? So somebody who wants to be a handler, all right, here's some aspects I can work on myself. But like when you guys are choosing another dog to enter into the unit, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so we buy our own dogs. We go to vendors. Way most agencies, or at least around here, is the dogs will be imported from Europe, whether it be Holland, Poland, wherever. They come to vendors in America, and then police agencies go out there, and we go out and we test them. And we look for green dogs, which means they really have no training. They don't know obedience. They've probably seen some bite sleeves, but they don't really have an out. They never really seen a bite suit. And so when we go and we test them, what we're trying to look at is kind of their whole, just the genetic makeup of the dog and just what the dog has, right? And really the biggest things we want a good hunt drive, whether it be, usually what we'll do is like a ball test. We'll throw a ball or a Kong out in some long grass or leaves somewhere where the dog can't see it. And we're going to see how long that dog goes and hunts and looks for that ball. Not so much concerned if they find it. It's more of how long are they going to go to keep finding it, right? Are they going to go out for like 2 seconds and be like, okay, I'm bored, I'm going to go over here? Or are they going to wear themselves out and go to sleep looking for this ball, right? So you want a good hunt drive. Courage. I mean, you have to have a dog that has courage, right? No different than you want to have a cop that has courage. So we have different tests that we run to see how a dog is going to react to different situations that they've never seen. And we want that dog that's at the end of a line, it's on a back tie on a harness. We want the dog that's at the end of the line engaged with whatever situation we're presenting. They're not backing down, they're not tucking tail and turning and running. So those are probably the two biggest.
So the skills you're looking for are just more those inherent traits, not necessarily a physical attribute. Because I guess depending on the trait of the dog, they can overcome some of those things. I'm
Sometimes,
guessing.
yeah. You can enhance some of them. You can't really build the traits into a dog, but you can enhance and dehance. But yeah, if they don't have it, they don't have it.
Right. Yeah, because even just like looking at our team, when you line up all the dogs, I mean, there's no cookie cutter. This is what we want. It's we have big dogs, we have smaller dogs, we have agile, we have but they all bring their own ability to the team to enhance the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, you alluded to it a little bit with some of the bonding, but how do you build like trust and bond between the handler and the dog?
Well, if you have my dog, it takes a little bit longer to bond.
Some of us males are more stubborn than others.
Yeah. No, we had a pretty, I think I wasn't too long, but it was a longer bonding process. So I'd have to have him when I first got Tigger, and we'd go just walk him around the parking lot at the sub. And then I got to the point, okay, let's go take him out to the yard, throw the ball with him, but he'd still come back and kind of like growl at me for a while.
You're like, yo.
So yeah. Like, I'm your mom now.
Yeah.
I like it.
You're like, focus. I'm the captain
You will
now.
love
Yeah.
me. You will love me.
Just
I tell
force
you right
it.
now.
That's funny.
But yeah, so, but now, I mean, he's great, but yeah, each dog's gonna have their own personality. So where mine took like 3 months ish, some is gonna take like 3 weeks, so.
Yeah. That's fair.
Well, I mean, another problem Ashley had was she's actually the third handler for Tigger. So he's kind of been through it. So she had to battle that. I had quite a welcoming experience into K9.
Oh, yeah. I remember
so
that.
the first dog that they got, brought him in, met him one day. Like, all right. The lead trainer at the time's like, hey, probably shouldn't go be playing ball with him or anything in the yard. I'm like, okay. Sergeant at the time was like, nah, he's pretty social. He'll probably be all right. I'm like, all right. So take him out to the K9 yard. I got a couple Kongs and throwing the Kong for him. And he'd go get it, bring it back, show him the other one. He'd drop it. We'd go and out there for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. And I go to grab his collar and go to leash him up. And he kind of growls at me. And I'm like, well, I know what I would do with a regular dog. 'Cause, I've had regular dogs. I'm like, but this dog's, police dog. So I was like, all right. So go play ball a little bit more. He comes back. I go to throw the ball. Axel decided he wanted to nibble on me. So he came up, hit my forearm, went 1, 2, 3. So bit me 3 times on my forearm. Actually went into like a full mouth bite. Let go. And I was like, that's not good. So close up the yard, go to the sergeant. I'm like, yeah.
Can I get a Band-Aid or something?
Right. End up going to the hospital, got 6 stitches there.
Yeah.
Come back. Lead trainer's like, I go, let me guess, I shouldn't have been playing ball. He's like, yeah. I'm like, my bad.
Yeah. Well, sergeants know best, so just so you know.
Yeah. So then carry on. About a month or so after that, we start our actual K9 Academy. We're getting towards the end of the first couple days, and dog was really spun up. Definitely had a couple screws loose, we think. But come to the end of the night, we had to kind of battle him to get his harness off, and he's pretty spun up. We're going to put him back in the kennels, and I'm holding onto his collar, and I pop his little vet muzzle off, which is just a cloth muzzle we put on. Axel took about 2 steps towards the kennel where there was food, and he stops, U-turns, and then tags my hand. Another 6 stitches in the hand, out for a while, had a broken fingernail, it was all swollen, it's pretty gross, and we're in the hospital, and I looked at the sergeant and trainer, was like, I don't think we're going to work out.
I mean, at least he was consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 6 stitches each time, so that's fair.
Consistency.
So the bonding with myself and Axel did not go very well. So then we went back and they got Link, K9 Link. That went a lot better because we're still together and he hasn't made me get stitches, so that's good.
Yeah, Link was always pretty fun.
Yeah, but generally the bonding just kind of, we start out pretty slow, like Ashley was saying, just kind of going for little walks, feeding them, doing most of that at the sub with other handlers present. Once we have a little bit of obedience in and we know the dog's just not going to take off and be like, peace, we're out, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's when we'll let the handler start taking them home. And that's when the bond really starts to get set because then you're around each other all the time. They start getting into a little bit more comfortable environment. Then that bond really starts to kind of grow at that point once they start going home with the handler, spending a lot more time and realizing that, hey, this person here brings me food and keeps my belly full and gives me water and then takes me to go do fun things like bite stuff and find drugs or bombs. So I like this guy. I think we'll get along for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I think stereotypically when people think of like police canines, I think just like your old school, like German Shepherds and stuff. What type of dog, because we have a fairly diverse team, what type of dogs do we have and utilize?
Yeah. So we have 10 dogs in our unit, which I think we're like second or third biggest in the state as far as dual purpose dogs go, meaning majority of our dogs either find people or they find drugs and or bombs. So of the 10, we do have one single purpose floppy eared lab, Reese, who's out at the courthouse. His only job is to look for explosive stuff. We have 2 other dogs in the jail. One is an all black German Shepherd car, and then another one's a Mal. They're both patrolling narcotics, and then on patrol of the other 7, we have 3 Dutch Shepherds, a couple more Malinois, and a like Czech German Shepherd guy.
Nice.
So we have quite a mix.
Nice. Yeah. So you break away from like just, the standard, what you think of, but more again, towards just those traits and the abilities of each individual dog.
Yeah. Like when we look for dogs, we don't just say, oh, we want this specific breed, right? We'll test what dogs the vendors have. And if that dog passes our test, then cool. I mean, haven't seen it, but I mean, if a little Chihuahua came out and passed all the tests,
Let's do it. Sign them up.
Let's give it a shot. See what happens.
Nice. So what does a typical workday look like for a handler and their canine partner? Just
it's actually really fun when I get ready for work. Especially like on Graves is when I would notice it a lot. As soon it's like he has this clock and he knew it was time to get ready for work.
Yeah.
Or it's like he would see me through the back window and he's like, all right, it's time to go. So he'd be sitting there jumping out the back door, getting ready.
Pounding his Red Bulls, getting a workout in. Yeah.
So, and then he knew, like, all right, let's go. So we'd go out, get in the truck, and then the rest of the night he's just spinning circles. But if I didn't put his vest on before we left the driveway, like it was like, okay, let's go to work and go to briefing. I'll see you. Because all he wants to do is just spin in that truck or get out and go find something.
Yeah.
So if I had like half his energy, it would be amazing. But, yeah. It's amazing how they
his energy.
Well, and I think too, and this just, from being around some of you guys is for them, the work is fun. What you would normally think you'd take your dog park to, or your family dog out, play some catch, like them actually getting into work mode is enjoyment for them. I mean, that's kind of, letting them get out and work is their play.
Yeah, no, that's what we kind of work for, is that when they come to work, it's like, that's when they get to go have fun, right? That's when they get to go find the drugs or find bad guys, whatever it is. That's their fun time. When they're at home, it's kind of like, this isn't the greatest. Like, I'd rather be at work.
Nice.
We actually have an entire video on what it is like getting ready for work.
We do. Yeah. So if anybody's interested, feel free to go to the Adams County Sheriff's Office YouTube page or scroll through our social media, and you will see Sergeant Smolinski and his partner Link in a very funny video.
For a day.
And it's realistic. It was a documentary style. We just went shot for shot of how their day goes.
Yeah.
So for both of you, is there like a memorable incident or case that you can recall that like where your dog or whatever they did was crucial in either finding something or kind of solving or finishing out whatever an incident was?
Yeah, Tig's been a part of a lot of huge cases, and I think a lot of them, I mean, some of the guys are going to laugh at me, but you're going to fall over a lot of fences when you're deploying your dog.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Yeah, you do your yard to yard.
I think the most recent one, I guess, just being able to do a track, and when you see their behavior change, like they're in that human odor, and find it. So a guy in a stolen truck ran away from us. So, excuse me, we got that the perimeter set up, and it was great. It was quick. So I hauled off with the dog in my cover, and we're out in this little field. And of course, I see his behavior change. So I kind of hit my partner, like, wait, just give it a second. And he dives into the bushes, and you can hear them yelling. So
please, I will cooperate now.
Yeah.
That's what they'd normally say.
Yeah. It's just, it's awesome to see that behavior change and like all that training and all your other deployments come into work. But
it's cool.
It's rewarding for us too, because now we're not letting this other like criminal off the streets. And then that one actually led to a bigger FBI case. And then I got to help do the FBI hit for that one too with Tig.
Cool.
So that was
Yeah.
like a full circle moment.
That is really cool. Yeah. And all that training and hard work, you know, it kind of comes to fruition in those moments. That's got to be rewarding. That's cool.
The one that always stands out for me was we're pretty early in their career. Westminster PD had called for cover for a dog. So I get there, they had a DV, and it was husband or boyfriend, I don't remember, had fired shots at his girlfriend in an apartment. We're about 92nd and Federal area. He took off into the neighborhood, so get it set up. It was me and another dog, and it's kind of funny. I totally kind of messed up how we should actually deploy, but it worked out. So we get going, and we're coming to the last house and getting ready. We're walking up, and I see Link's just head go up in the air, or his nose go up in the air, and he starts going back and forth. And I'm like, oh, he's high. So I'm like, hold on, back out. So I was thinking roof line, and but this house was an old like Pearl Mac house, right? So single story with a basement, and then it has a carport on it. And under the carport, there's this Ford Econoline van, and it was raised a little bit, and it had the ladder on the back, and that ladder was right up against the fascia of the carport. So if you're walking by, it looks like that thing is like right there, and that you can't, there's no way you could get anything under it. And so we're kind of looking at the roof line, we're not seeing anything. So then you start clearing with Link, and then right out of the corner of my eye, we're under the carport. And I mean, we got like maybe 6 inches, if that. Here I see these pair of eyes just kind of staring down at me on top of this Econoline van, and it ended up being the dude. And so we got him in custody, and he fought a little bit afterwards. But yeah, it was just cool. Like we were able to, like Ashley said, you see that change of behavior, and you locate this guy. So one, you're helping to bring justice with a victim. You're keeping other cops safe because, without that, one, would they've even found him? But two, would they have walked in there blindly and, he just popped off rounds, so potentially armed. So did we just prevent a potential ambush situation? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's what the dogs here are for, is, help locate and help protect and keep our other cops safe.
Yeah.
That one always sticks out to me as just a good find.
Yeah. No, and with any use of force, I mean, the whole goal is to end a situation as quickly as we can to render everything else safe and everybody around that situation. So, and having the canines is like a force multiplier where they've got skills that we just don't have, whether it's the smelling ability or just their senses. So yeah, having them in those areas are crucial. Yeah. Like I know one thing I used to love is, there'd be a deployment or something, like more often than not, surprisingly, these guys, we finally get them in cuffs and they'd be like, I'm so sorry. That dog was serious. Like I shouldn't have done that. Like they're doing like this whole roadside confession after the dog got to say hello. So those always cracked me up. Yeah. So any funny stories or experiences you've had with your dogs that
besides falling over fences?
Besides falling over fences, which
I didn't have a fall over fences. We were doing an area search. I had him on a long line, and it was cold. It was kind of winter, but Link decided to circle around me a couple times. Okay, and then he decided to run. Well, then the long line was wrapped around my ankles, and I mean, I went feet straight up and back down.
Like it was like a cartoon.
Where just 100%. Yeah, just, woo, bam! I just laid there for a minute, and he like comes up and like looks at me and like nudges me, like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
"Get up,
listen, mother."
So how long are those long lines?
Different lengths, 15, 30.
Okay.
Those are probably the most common ones.
This is super long leash.
We all have 50 and 100-foot lines too. Yeah. Just kind of depending on what areas we're working in and what we have going on.
Nice.
If we're deploying with our SWAT team, we usually maybe 50-foot lines, 50-foot lines, and kind of work that area, do some cast and clearing with them. So it all depends.
Anything with Tig, or is he just all serious all the time? Nothing funny ever happens?
No, I'm the comedic relief when it comes to Tig.
He's Wonder Dog.
He's Wonder Dog.
Tig is Wonder Dog.
Yeah. No. So for the guys who always want to give me for fall, can I say beep?
We'll bleep that out. They like to make fun of you.
It wasn't me. All right.
I knew it was gonna happen.
All right. Whoever bet on her cussing first, you just won on your bingo card. So
anyway. For the guys who want to give me crap for falling over the fences, Tig saved their lives twice. So yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's great seeing them, like they go dive in. So if they're fighting with the bad guy and Tig just goes and dives in, and one guy's rolling around and ends up on top of my dog, and I'm like, okay, you have to get off now so I can get my dog.
Yeah.
Wait, what? And like, get off my dog so I can get him off. But yeah, no, I'm definitely the comedic relief. Tig's Tig trains me. Let's be honest.
That's fair. Yeah.
We're all on the dumb end of the leash.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'll just follow, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the most rewarding thing about being canine handler, you would say? Or just if there's anything that sticks out?
I think, like we said, is you have the dog or this tool that's a locating tool to help find people. And at the end of the day, it's a way to help keep our other officers safe. You know, we don't have to send a cop in somewhere and we can send a dog in. Or, you know, if a dog can locate a person hiding, you know, or even, you know, the other side, the dope side or the bomb side, you know, and you find a good amount of drugs that you can take off the streets, or you actually find an explosive device. You know, you're protecting the community, you're protecting the citizens, and you're protecting your fellow officers.
And not only that, well, how many times have we had, you know, whether it's a car chase, foot chase, something where, you know, suspect is known to have a gun, maybe they even fired it, they're on the run, they pitch it somewhere. Well, now we've got an unsecure weapon that we don't want a kid or somebody else to come across. So how many times, dozens of times have our handler and canine team been able to recover those?
Yeah.
I mean,
we just recently had that, Deputy Peacock with his canine con helped Commerce City locate a homicide, a gun used in a homicide in an area that, you know, was hidden in an area that they probably wouldn't have thought to look at or searched. And with the help, with Con being in there and doing what he does, you know, he actually helped locate this gun used in a homicide. So
that's amazing. Yeah. So crucial for cases, crucial for public safety. So that's awesome.
Yeah. My first real shift with Tigger after getting out.
I'm sorry, you said shift?
Shift.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure we're good.
I actually got 2 bites with him that first night after training, or the whole academy. So the first appointment was doing a house, or clearing the house for the suspect, and at the very end he ended up finding him in the crawl space, and it was just like being able to see all the, like, everything come together, especially right after the academy. It's huge. And then like 3 hours later, going and getting another bite. It's like, this is, yeah. Or finding like the amount of drugs that you can find. It's just a great tool to have. And I can't even describe how rewarding it really is. So
are there any experience you'd like to share about your unique position on the team?
Yeah. So I am one of the first female canine handlers on patrol. So that's a huge accomplishment. So it's awesome to be able to, like, hopefully be a good role model for all these other aspiring female deputies or current female deputies, people who want to join law enforcement. Like, you don't have to be a big burly dude to be able to handle a dog.
Yeah, anybody can have a dog bite your hand and give you 6 stitches.
Absolutely.
Cakewalk right there.
And don't get me wrong, it is a lot of hard work, but it's great. And we get more creative on how we have to handle the dog or handle the scenes and be able to take it that route. So,
well, and I think that's a good aspect too with any specialized unit, but just kind of it's good to have those multiple perspectives, because there's multiple ways to handle a situation. There's no just textbook, here's how we send a dog in. Yes. So being able to tap into those different points of view.
Well, and females generally actually have a little bit easier time being handlers. Because one of the things we like when we praise our dogs, right? We do a really high pitched, fun tone, right? Most of us guys were very like, "Oh, that's a good boy, oh, good job." Right?
There you go.
Yeah, it takes guys forever to get over that, right? Because we're all like, "No, good job, right?
Good boy, good job, dog."
Females just naturally have that nice nurturing tone and instincts, and dogs respond to it really well. So, females generally have a little bit easier time of being handlers and getting dogs to listen to them. And we all kind of joked within the unit, we wanted to see what would happen if Ashley was going to take over Moose.
Yeah,
see how Moose would reply.
No,
a lot of us thought it would actually work out pretty good.
Well, what's unique about Moose that people may not know of why that's funny?
Moose is he's huge.
Yeah.
He lives up to his name.
Yeah.
He's a Dutch Shepherd that runs about 100 to 100, anywhere from 90 to 110 pounds, depending on how he is. And it's all muscle.
If it's bikini season or not, or if he wants to trim down.
Yeah.
And he will look into your soul.
Yeah.
Like, just, yeah, he can be terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look through your soul.
Yeah. No, but I think you bring up a good point. Like with a lot of our positions, it's not what you are that matters. It's just, are you able to do the job and contribute? And there's doors open for anybody if they're willing just to put in the work and apply themselves. So I think that's huge. And you're right. You set a great example. I mean, your whole team, but Ashley, when you're out at public events and stuff, girls love coming up, A, to see the dogs, all kids, but then B, I think it's really cool for them to see, like, I'm the handler, here's my police car, here's what we do as a team, and just see you leading the way on that. So
yeah,
that's cool.
That's great.
So I do have a question. So
I've had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I've got a couple more, but this one just came to me. So I heard a rumor. So we do have canine cards with your dog on the front and some stats and cool stuff that we hand out at public events or like our fair. We encourage people to meet you guys and meet the dogs and collect those. I heard a rumor that other people get to have one of those cards at certain times. Is there like maybe somebody who got to meet the dog in the middle of a call for service or
I heard of a handler that whenever they would do a dope sniff, and that person would get arrested for the possession of said drugs, the handler would leave a card, the canine card, in the person's possession. So when they got out of jail, they would see the dog that helped find their drugs.
Oh, we get to meet again.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, like almost like you got served by
Right.
this dog.
My favorite is our no bite coins. So if we're getting in on a deployment or somebody wants to go tase somebody before we get there, we leave them a little no bite coin. Like, seriously, you couldn't have waited 30 seconds.
Right.
Like, cool.
Or we have the ones where, the dog is there, the scent is perfect, and then they jump right in front of the dog to go tase them or do something else.
Yeah.
So that's for the deputies. Like, hey, thanks for taking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. It only takes once to learn your lesson. I personally did that where I thought I'd be polite and step in front. I was about to clear. I went to go open the door. And as I reached in front, the dog turned, nipped my thigh. And it was just a quick, like, little boop. For like 2 weeks, I had the full outline, purple. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, that dog and handler are long left the team, but it was just like, noted. We'll never ever do that again. Just a little anytime I was cover for on a track or anything, like I was always like almost like a field goal kicker. I was always like 3 steps and like 2 over, like you plenty of space for you guys. Well, as we wrap up here, is there anything that people would be surprised to know or may not know just about being a canine handler, just in general? Or
I think one of the most common questions we get is what happens to the dog when they retire. So
cross that one off my next list. All right.
You've asked. I'm
yeah, no, it's super comics. I was going to ask the same thing. Yeah.
So essentially what happens is once the dog retires, usually around 8 years old, kind of when we start looking at it, just depends on how well they're working. Handler gets first choice. We do have a little tradition within our canine unit. So say somebody started working a dog and then they moved on, whether they promoted or whatever. What's supposed to happen is if somebody takes over that dog, the new handler is supposed to go to the old handler and say, hey, you worked them first. Do you want it? Generally what happens is no, because they only work the dog for maybe a year or two. And the second handler worked them for the majority of the career. But regardless, handler gets first shot. If they want to take the dog, they pay the county $1. County asset, so they pay him $1. If for whatever reason a handler can't or they don't want to, then we'll look within the unit. I don't think we've ever had sorry. Yeah. I don't think we've ever had to go outside of the unit, but if we did, we'd look within the agency at previous handlers. Go that way. Yeah. We're not just going to dump them at the Adams County shelter and be like, hey, here you go.
Yeah. They don't go to the pound or shelter. They don't get put up for auction or anything. Yeah. I mean, I know that you guys are just a tight, we talked about that bond. And plus you get to continue that bond and the dog gets to go and live a happy retirement at home and
we get the memory foam beds now and all that.
Yeah. And just have the kids crawling on them and stuff. So that's fun. No. All right. One last question. All right. What happens to a dog when they retire?
So since my dog is coming up on retirement.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was trying to be silly, but yeah, go ahead. No.
Yeah. I forced my dog into early retirement,
Mhm.
but yeah, this memory foam bed that you speak of, no, I tried it. And I knew I was going to regret it. So I bought a cheaper one,
Okay.
luckily. But yeah, it lasted maybe 5 hours. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. He shredded it. Everything gets shredded. So
And he's like, Mom, look what you get to clean up. Like,
yeah. No, he's great. And I have my 7-year-old son. So he goes out in the back and they could play fetch, and my Tig's just running behind him, like playing soccer, doing stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
as long as we can keep him occupied, there will be no shredding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, they still got to stay busy, right? They're still,
Yeah.
they may not be able to physically do the job as well, but they're still mentally there for the most part. Yeah. So when they retire, they stay at home with the handlers. Handlers then absorb kind of all the costs, whether for food and vet bills, all that. You know, county pays for all that up until retirement, and handlers take over all that cost, and then they stay at home and they get fat and happy, and
Yeah.
they get to do fun dog stuff.
And like with a retired human cop, I mean, they still sit with their back to the wall at restaurants and stay vigilant as they're driving and stuff. Complain about all the new stuff.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I greatly appreciate you guys' time. I mean, you guys are a vital resource, not only to our staff here at the sheriff's office, but regionally, and even as you go and train others and pass along your knowledge and experience to newer handlers and newer teams that are up and coming with different agencies. I mean, you guys are a huge asset. So thank you for all that you do. And thank you for making time for us today. So
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
awesome. Well, as we mentioned, for all of our cool and fun videos that we have out there, you can follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube. And also we have an email address that you can send in. So communityconnections@adcogov.org. If you have any questions, topic ideas, or just anything to follow up on that we could answer for you. And until next time, we'll see you again.